So as you're coming on, let me know where you're at in the Brighton program. And are you ready to take back your hormones, fast track that healing? And, if you're on the pill, off the pill, or any form of hormonal birth control, are you ready to get solutions so you can feel better fast? Because that's what we're talking about today. So we are on chapter 12, the 30-day Brighton program. If you've been following along or you're just joining us, know that all the videos live on YouTube. We've gone through chapters 1 through 11. Yesterday, we covered the principles of getting started. And today, it's all about diving into the 30-day Brighton program. So I see we have a ton of people just jumping on and joining us now. You're on your last pill pack, then you're in the right place to be listening in today. So you've learned everything. You have all the tools, and now it's time to put it all into practice and take back control of your hormones. This program is going to help you if you're on the pill, if you've already come off the pill, or if you've already ditched it altogether. You're taking the first steps towards increasing your energy, elevating your mood, and eliminating unwanted hormone symptoms. Woo! Exciting stuff. So we're going to leverage naturopathic medicine, functional medicine, nutrition, and everything. We put it all together here for you to bring you through the 30-day program. So remember, first things first, we take the hormone quiz in chapter 1. Chapter 1 has a hormone quiz so you can identify what is your major hormone imbalance. Do you have too much estrogen, too little testosterone, or is it too much testosterone? You can dial it in and get in, check with your own body so that you can fine tune and tailor this section of the book for yourself. So this is where we get into the full protocol. Now, I talked to you about what is your body answers about our hormones in our body is to get lab testing. That is one piece of the puzzle. That is one thing that can help, but collecting the data in your body is tremendously helpful in identifying hormones. Labs are one snapshot in time. So when you get a lab test done, you're going to get one day out of your cycle, out of the dozen of cycles that you have in a year, and basing a lot on that. When I run labs in my practice, I want that patient tracking their data as well so that I can understand what does it look like to live in your body. So I just want to point out, you've got the quiz there, leverage that. You're going to take the quiz, go through the program, take the quiz again. Anytime you have hiccups, take the quiz again. This book is designed to be with you for life so that anytime you have any hormonal issues come up, you can come back, you can reference it. If you start to have gut issues, gallbladder issues, your libido starts to tank, you do decide you actually want that baby and you weren't sure about it before, I've got you covered in the book. Now, this is where we go through all the categories. So you'll take the chapter 1 quiz, and then it'll say, for example, category A, too much estrogen. You have estrogen dominance. You're going to come to page 237. And what I have for you here is a brief explanation, where I talk about, so if you've taken the quiz, you want to read up on this and make sure that you fit in, into what it's discussing here. So the other thing we do is I take you through the diet, lifestyle, and supplement factors that you should consider if you have estrogen dominance. And so I talk about, okay, what does it mean to have too much estrogen? How can you have too much estrogen? And if you have that going on, one tip right away, avoid xenoestrogens big time. Drink only out of glass bottles and or with metal straws and use glass containers. Be mindful of takeout food. BPA free is BS. Don't trust it. That's part of the real talk that you get in this book. So that is one thing that you want to check out is like, okay, what is my environment? We talk about how you got to eliminate alcohol. So like that's a non-negotiable for you in that. And I take you just through each category. So what if it's too little estrogen? I see the question, what if you have symptoms in all the categories? You want to pick the top 5 to 10 symptoms that would cause you to go to the doctor. Why would you go to the doctor? You wouldn't likely go to the doctor and say, I have 40-something symptoms. If you do, you have like a chronic disease and something's going on there. But with that, you would go usually for 5, maybe 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 symptoms. So with that in mind, you want to pick those top ones, and then you want to take the quiz and approach it that way. They should be current symptoms that you have. There's an entire video on YouTube and IGTV and Facebook reviewing the quiz. So go watch that if you have quiz questions. So we went through that, and then we went through it again in chapter 1 when we went through the lowdown, not the lowdown, the real talk on the pill. Why is BPA BS? Because BPA is just one. There's all these other, basically plastic ingredients that they do the same thing as BPA, but you know about BPA. I know about BPA. So they say it's BPA free. It's just like gluten-free can be totally BS. Like just because that cookie's gluten-free doesn't make it a health food, but it'll be marketed in that way. So I just want to make sure that we are mindful that there are a lot of environmental toxins out there. If it's plastic, it's got endocrine disruptors in it. If it's BPA free, understand it could have BPS in it. It can have these other forms that are still hating on your hormones. So what happens is that we get savvy as consumers about what's going on and we start rejecting it. And then they're like, fine, we'll label that it's BPA free if that's what you want and we'll take it out. But then as it turns out, it has, sometimes they replace it with things that are worse too. That's the big scary talk there. Now, category B, we go into the too little estrogen. So what if you have too little estrogen? Quick tip, increase dietary fat so you can build your estrogen. What about category C? We've got too little progesterone here. You want to take supplements. Here's some that you can consider to help support that progesterone in that luteal phase of your cycle. And we talk about stress reduction. I give you tips on that. Too much testosterone. That's where we start talking about, is it PCOS or is it post-pill PCOS? And it looks like PCOS, but it's just a result of being on birth control. And I take you through what to do about every one of these. I feel like my page is stuck here. It is. I have boxes of books in my house, you guys, because I didn't know when you write a book, you end up signing tons of books. Like every week I'm signing dozens of books and sending them out. And this is one of the brand new ones. So they're sticking together, those pages. So too little testosterone, too little cortisol. What does that look like? Too much cortisol, too little thyroid hormone. And we go into that. If you have too much thyroid hormone, you'll read in the book that I'm like, you need to go see a doctor. It's not, you don't want to go through this protocol before you go to the doctor, because if you have Graves' disease, that's some serious business and you need to get that checked out. Now, this is where we get into the supplement protocol. And what you'll see that I did with the supplement protocol is I listed the supplement type for you to consider. Then the next section is, how to actually take it. So with the supplements I'm recommending, how should you take that? Recommended brands. So there's several brands you'll see. Sometimes it's my brand. If I list my brand, I also talk about alternatives because I know not everybody can get that. And then, other categories, it's not my brand at all because for example, I don't carry Therabiotic and that form of lactobacillus. So there are several brands that are mentioned here that you can check out. These are ones that I've used in my clinic and they work really well. And so I take you through, there's a for everyone section. There's if you're doing the liver detox, if you're going into gut repair, you found in the gut check chapter, you need to repair your gut. And then for each category, there are supplements listed. So you can really dial in because all of these supplements listed are great. They're great nutrients, they're great stuff, but are they what you actually need right now? That's what I hope you understand in Beyond the Pill. So this chapter has tons. The table goes on and on and on. And my pages are sticking together. I shouldn't have grabbed a new book. But I signed the one that we were using yesterday and sent it out. Okay, so now we get into the liver detox. I give you the overview of what to expect with that. And I talk about, if you are a vegetarian or vegan, I do have a pea-based protein alternative for you. And so, oh, you ordered the book on Amazon yesterday. That is awesome. So there are a couple of options that I talk about. I prefer that everybody uses the bone broth-based protein because it helps with blood sugar stabilization and gut repair and has a lot more benefits. But I also recognize that we have vegans and vegetarians who don't want to have any animal products. And so I talk about in that how you can use pea protein. There's a pea protein alternative if you want to use those supplements. And we formulated that just for those ladies in mind. So then I take you through the 30-day Brighton protocol diet. Now, with the Brighton protocol diet, this is a way of eating to optimize your hormones and to work with your menstrual cycle. It's what I call cycle self-care, like ways that we can eat and talk to ourselves and love ourselves and practice self-care throughout our entire menstrual cycle. And I will say this right now, whenever I'm teaching things about like how to eat like on your period, which by the way, we have a new article on drbrighten.com on that you can check out, but like how to eat on your period and how to eat in a certain way or how to do self-care and like what things are best throughout your cycle. women always say, I knew it. Like I had this feeling, like I knew that's what was best for me. That is something that most women find they intuitively gravitate towards, how to eat and how to move their body, how much sleep they need. And so this is why I talked about, and I talk about in the book, cultivating your intuition. That's why we use intuitive eating rather than being dogmatic and being like, you have to eat this many Brussels sprouts every single day. Like it's really about like, what does your body need and what is your body telling you? So I just want to say that so that you trust your body and know that like, there can be doctors out there talking about this, but you want to trust yourself as well. Now, seed cycling is definitely in the Brighton diet. Okay. We're going to be eating our seeds and cycling. I teach you how to do seed cycling in Beyond the Pill. And then I also give you a sample day of the 30-day plan. So with this, I wanted to really demonstrate to you, how would you integrate all of this? Because I just gave you like, okay, you have this going on. You need to, get this much sleep and you need to consider these supplements and you need to eat this food. And it's going to be a lot of a change. Like if you dive into that, you're going to be like, whoa, for some of you, it's going to be a 180 on how you've been living. So I broke it down for you. So in the morning when you wake up, take your temperature if you're using fertility awareness method, because what is step one of coming off of hormonal birth control? If that's where you're at, step one is have a backup method. And that might be FAM, a copper IUD, barrier method, something else. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow, chapter 13. So you want to, if it's FAM, take your temperature first thing in the morning. If you can, I want you to rise with the sun if you can. So what I mean by that is open up your curtains. So sunrise, not screen rise. Don't open them from the sun, and that will help degrade your melatonin so that you spike cortisol in the morning. That will help set your circadian rhythm and the tone of your hormones for the day. So I take you through some ideas with that, drinking water, journaling, getting some movement in, maybe get on YouTube, watch a video. There's some apps that I really love, like Down Dog app for like yoga. Les Mills on Demand is something that I love to use when I'm traveling because I like to do body combat and a lot of punching and kicking as part of my workout. Then I take you into breakfast. Like, okay, here's how you do breakfast. This is what you eat. I talk to you about how to space your supplements. We go mid-morning, lunch, afternoon, dinner, evening, and I take you through just a whole routine so you can start to see how this might fit into your life. And I've heard from a lot of you that was super helpful. So I'm glad that I did that and that actually helped you, because that was a bit of work to get into a book. Now, I also have 2 pages here on stress reduction practices with little check boxes for you to check off. Like, what can you do? Like, not like people talk about stress reduction and they're like, you need to meditate and you need to do yoga and you need to go for a walk and you need to journal and you need to breathe and you need to do all the things. And then people get stressed out. So instead we take it as like, okay, here's a bunch of tools. Which tools do you want to try out? Just commit to trying out a few of them and you bring those into your routine and see how they work for you. And if they don't work for you, dump them and try again. It's totally fine to be like, yo, I hate meditation, and be like, oh, wait, but there's this different form of meditation I might want to try. Okay, like I'll give that a try. It's okay to say something doesn't work for you and then try something else. All right. In here, we also go into the upgraded golden milk. I give you the little lowdown on that. So I've seen so many of you on social media posting the upgraded golden milk and loving it. This is something that I drink, my son drinks, I give to patients. I use it with small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, so SIBO, gut issues, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, if you have mood issues, anxiety, depression going on. And I'm not saying, oh, golden milk is going to like fix everything and cure everything. No. What I'm saying is that this is something, if you have any of these conditions, that you can use as an adjunct therapy and as food as medicine as part of a comprehensive plan. So the upgraded golden milk, that recipe is on 304 for those of you who have the book. It's the anti-inflammatory turmeric supports healthy cortisol levels, and the fat will keep you feeling satiated, which is the feeling of being full. So you won't get that blood sugar spike. If you're someone who often wakes up between 2 and 4 a.m., then drinking this beverage 2 hours before bed can actually change your sleep within 3 to 5 days. How amazing is that? Why is that? Because 2 to 4 a.m. tends to be the time that like the hangry monster attacks. So this also has collagen in it, which is rich in glycine, which is going to help you feel nice and relaxed as you go to bed at night. So this is a little nighttime cap. Now, we have a meal plan here as well. And a lot of people have been asking, are there recipes in there and will I know how to use them? 100%. So I take you through a meal plan. I also have it to where it's like, one day you make a chicken and then you use that chicken again. Like, I'm all about like, how can we meal prep and do as little work as possible throughout the week? Because when things get kind of stressful and busy, like, I'm a CEO of a company and a doctor and a mama, and like things get a little crazy during the week. That is usually when you end up like reaching for, like a quick grab, quick snack, something along those lines. So we want to put a little thought into this and a little bit of prep and make it as easy as possible. Now, I take you through the transition phase. And, when you complete the 30-day program, this is where you come back to see, how do I transition? How do we reintroduce things? How do I know that something is like bad for me or good for me in this current moment? I take you through all of that, and I give you the common food sensitivities here. So a list of common food sensitivities, and then there's a reintroduction tracker. So you actually have a chart in the book, and y'all are way smarter than me. Let me say this. So I've seen so many of you taking a photo of it on your book, or like actually taking a photo of the book or screen grabbing on the Kindle version, and then digitally checking things out, checking the quiz and doing all that, and then storing that online. I thought that was really brilliant. So I wanted to share that. And then I talk about life after the 30-day program and like what's next for you and what should you be considering, and, really reflecting on like, how does your skin look now? And how does your hair look? And how's your constipation? Is it gone? Like what symptoms? Let's take some time to reflect, because I will say so many times patients will come back and they'll say, I'm like, what's better? And they're like, I don't know that anything's really better. Like, because we all tend to focus on like what's negative and what we still want to fix. And when I go through like, okay, so remember like when you came in, you had gas and bloating and like it was embarrassing and you like didn't feel like you could leave your house. And they're like, oh, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, that's why we have to track things. Otherwise, we totally forget about it altogether. What recommendations do I have if the liver detox is out of budget? Any other alternatives? Food-based. So start with food. So remember, the supplements are an extra layer to healing. Supplements are often needed when we are in a healing phase. But if it's something where you're like, right now it's out of budget, like I was a college student, if it's out of budget to use that, you might want to consider using, so you do want to use the food-based, but you might want to consider using Balance as well. So that's my women's hormone support formulation. It's back in stock. This is my personal. I take this every day. That's why it's hanging out with me in my office, so I don't forget it. The Balance has in it what you need to optimize estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. You can get this at drbrighten.com. And you got Balance. It's helping so much. That's awesome. But it also has in it the broccoli seed extract and other nutrients to support liver detox and the gut's removal of estrogen. So that's the one I would choose personally if I was like, okay, I want support with detox, but I can't afford the detox kit. I'm going to do the food-based, always food, lifestyle first, right? Then I would add in the Balance. So that's one trick there. And I appreciate you guys bringing this up because I want to make all of this as accessible as possible. And we've got like the ideal of what we would do. And then there's like, okay, and this is what I can actually do. Now, I've done quite a bit of talking. I'm going to talk some more as I answer your questions. So go ahead, bring in some questions. You're on the 30-day protocol now, or you're contemplating doing it. What questions do you have for me? What was, something that you've done? So there's a few of you that are saying that you're a few weeks in, 3 weeks in, you're coming up to the end of it. How are you feeling? What have you experienced? I would love to hear that. And in this chapter, this is the section where I do talk you through having realistic expectations as well. And knowing that, you're working with your body to heal naturally. Can you please help me as I'm coming into my cycle next week? I read your article on seed cycling. Do I continue the seed cycling after 2 weeks after ovulation and go back to start again? So that is a great question. And let me flip on through. And on page 258, we talk about seed cycling and how to implement that. And I talk about, you're going to take flax seeds and pumpkin seeds. That's going to be days 1 through 14 of your cycle or until ovulation. Then you're going to flip. And then you're going to flip to the sesame and sunflower seeds. When you get to the first day that you see blood, you flip again and you go back to the flax seeds and the pumpkin seeds. So I hope that helps. And I talk all about that in the book. You guys know I was in the shower of all places this morning. That's why my hair is still like wet. It's like growing while we talk. It's actually super wet and I was super lazy about it. But I realized I was like, oh, I've been telling people I've been doing seed cycling for like 10 years. And I was like, I like somehow forgot how old I was. I don't know what that's about. And I'm like, oh, I've been doing seed cycling for like 11 years now, which actually just made me feel like old. I was like, whoa, you've been at this for a long time. I'm a huge fan of seed cycling. And I just want to say, like, you will see there's so many people, there are like so many artistic people making graphics and things for my book recently. And I saw somebody made a graphic of seed cycling and they were like 1 tablespoon of each. Don't do any more. Don't do any less. You know, if you end up, you're like, I can do 2 tablespoons of flax seeds, it's going to help. Like if you're like, oh, I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of each, no issue there. Like I have messed around with seed cycling so much with myself and my patients as well that it's like, as long as you're getting these seeds in your cycle, it's going to be okay. And the worst thing we can do is get really rigid and dogmatic about these kinds of things and being like, it must be this much and measured exactly, because then we just stress out. And like, that's not good. We want to avoid stress. How do I find the enhancements if I bought the audiobook? I feel like I am answering this every single day that, I need to like somehow get the ear of people at Audible and iTunes and Google Play and all of this. This is not your fault. I'm not upset that I'm answering this every single day. It's just like, obviously these companies are not doing their job very well. So you need to contact them and contact their customer service and ask them to even see the PDFs. Like I wrote the book and I made this whole thing and they don't even share that with me. It's kind of funny. But they're like, you wrote it. Why do you need that? So I wanted to get off Skyla hormonal IUD, thinking of a copy IUD, but I heard negative things about it. Any suggestions? Tomorrow, we're going to go into non-hormonal birth control. That's going to be chapter 13. So please come back and listen into that because we'll spend a lot more time on that. And then I see Maddie's asking, do I fix my gut first with the gut rebuild and then start PCOS basic kit, or do I start them all at the same time? It's really like, so I can't give individualized medical advice, but I can say, like, generally speaking, there's no contraindication to using both at the same time, using the PCOS basic kit and then bringing in the gut rebuild. They're doing different things. The gut rebuild is helping support healthy gut integrity and rebuilding that gut lining. It's giving your body everything it needs to do its job. And then the PCOS kit is working on androgen balance, so testosterone, but also getting your estrogen and progesterone dialed in. And so they're doing different things. They actually work really well together. And so it's up to you if you're like, I don't want to take all the things right now. If you are using Beyond the Pill, you're going to read through like which ones are specific that you should be considering. It can be really helpful to be healing the gut and starting to optimize your ovarian and adrenal function at the same time. But again, you've got to just ask, like, is that going to be overwhelming for you? Is that like, and then how bad are those symptoms? How quickly do you want to try to reverse those things? That's like how much you're going to adhere to the diet and be looking at the supplements there. On the brand of collagen I use, I see that Megan put in a link. It's Dr. Brighton's Hormone Friendly Kitchen. You can head there, and that is where I have a list of all kinds of things that I use, and that's the collagen that I use. So the balance supplement made you feel nauseous. Do I recommend stop taking it? You take it with food and you might, so some people are, so that's a bit of an odd reaction to have to balance, but any supplement, so you guys, any supplement that has B vitamins in it can make us feel nauseous. So I'm one of these people, I made this mistake yesterday where I thought, I don't know why I do this, but I do this, and I'm sure you guys do it too. But I was like, oh, I'll just eat a little bit and then I'll take like the prenatal plus and I'll take balance and I'll take my B vitamins. And then later I was like, I'm so nauseous. I feel so awful. And I'm like, okay. And then I had to eat a dry piece of gluten-free toast because I was like, oh, I feel good. If I had just eaten a substantial breakfast, it would have been totally fine with all of that. But I thought I could like cheat the system of my body. So the one thing I tell women is take it with food. And if you're like, I am taking it with food, take it mid-meal or the end of your meal, trying that so you have a good amount of food in your stomach. And then if you still feel nauseous, taking it before bed. So This is a trick that we use with pregnant women all the time, where we're like, you're really nauseous, you can't take your prenatal, like right before you go to bed and then go to sleep. Or if you're gonna take a nap, take your supplement and then take a nap, so that it's less of an issue for you. So that's some tips there. If supplements ever cause you nausea, it's not unusual to have nausea with anything that has B vitamins in it. That's why we want to couple it with food. And some people are much more sensitive to this overall. Like, I know people who can take like fistfuls of supplements like on an empty stomach and have zero issues whatsoever. And I'm someone, if I take one B complex on an empty stomach, I am sick like all day. So I'm one of those sensitive people, which is how I know how to navigate these things as well. And yeah, you can start with half the dose and work your way up. Sometimes what we do in my practice is somebody's like, I think this supplement made me feel weird, or I didn't feel so great because I was nauseous. We're like, okay, stop it. Wait till that subsides, and then bring in 1 cap at a time and slowly increase and see if it was that. Because sometimes, because life is messy, we will have, people who are like, oh, I think this supplement made me really sick and I took it and I threw up afterwards, and we're like, oh, that's not good. And then they reintroduce it and they try it again and they come back and they're like, yeah, I think I actually had the stomach flu, or I think I had food poisoning. So sometimes it can be other factors. And that's what we always want to test out and see, is it true? How does the Brighton program compare to Whole30 or Paleo? Whole30 is it's an elimination diet, and I just want to say I'm not as familiar with like the newer iterations of Whole30, but it's pretty strict in terms of like, they're like, if it like, you can't have like a frozen banana whipped up with coconut cream that looks like ice cream because you're cheating. No, I don't roll like that. So what's different is that it's very much like whole foods based. There are iterations in the book on paleo, except that like lentils are allowed. So lentils are okay to have, because I respect and acknowledge that, so Whole30 is like paleo with an elimination component, but I respect and acknowledge that we have vegans and vegetarians, and I didn't want to isolate anybody. So that's a difference, as well here, is that you can have lentils as part of all of this. And then it's very much Whole30 is focused on like man, woman, any gender, everybody do one thing. Same with paleo as well. But if you're working with someone one-on-one, they can help you work it out. The Brighton protocol is like very woman specific. How do women need to eat to optimize their hormones to work with their natural physiology, and how do we use the quiz results and how you're feeling in your body to dial in what you need to do especially. And the Brighton program is not just food. It's food and it's lifestyle and it's supplements. So it's really a trifecta there to help you optimize your health. So let me see the questions here. Can the gut rebuild cause constant hunger and headaches? I started taking this, and yeah, you're always feeling hungry. It shouldn't be doing that. I would track where you're at in your menstrual cycle, and I would track that and see what's going on. It's possible that you are in your luteal phase, that the hunger, the cravings are increasing. It's possible that like your gut is healing, and now because of that, it's like, please give me more food. Like, I need more nutrients. Instead of before, it might've been signaling like, I got tummy troubles. Don't put more stuff in the tube right now. Yeah, so if you don't have a doctor to do lab testing, please go to beyondthepillbook.com. If you guys haven't yet, if you've got Beyond the Pill, go to beyondthepillbook.com, grab your bonuses, and you can get your lab guide there. And I have a link to be able to order labs yourself. And yes, you can jump into the program without having lab testing first. That's totally fine. Sorry, there's so many coming in. I want to make sure that I don't miss things. What can I do to get better sleep? My 17-month-old wakes me 3 times a night. Oh Lord, these babies hate our hormones, right? So I feel you on that. So in the book, I take you through how to safeguard your circadian rhythm. That was yesterday in chapter 11. And those are things that you can do. Make your own bedtime routine, get amber glasses, making sure that you're really keeping and safeguarding your sleep. the best that you can. That's like the best tip that I can do is work with it, because, baby will start sleeping again, but it's something where, it's hard. It's definitely hard on your hormones right now. So doing the best you can. Yeah, you can take B vitamins at night. It's some people, it will wake them up, but this is something that I've seen, lots of patients who are like, I just take it at night because of, whatever reason, and it doesn't necessarily keep them up. And with that, like prenatals or something, I mean, I take my prenatal every single night. That's a hefty dose of B vitamins. I've never had an issue. And in fact, getting that B6 in can actually help so that you do sleep through the night, because it helps with the synthesis of melatonin. Is there a link between going off of birth control and preeclampsia? So preeclampsia is when you're pregnant. And if you're going off of birth control, like I'm not sure what that looks like in terms of your timeline. But yeah, if you don't prep your body and take a look at what's going on first, that could put you at higher risk for pregnancy issues. And yeah, you have my book. I see that, Natty. You have my book. You're just curious of an opinion. I talk about in the book how hormonal birth control can raise blood pressure, and that can be an issue. When we think preeclampsia too, the other thing that we look at is like what's going on with your thyroid, which birth control could have influenced. If I started the period problems kit 8 days ago, is there a chance it can account for my period being a few days late this month? It's possible, but always remember, when our periods are late, ladies, the very first thing we check is, are we pregnant? So it is possible that if you are using the period problems kit and it starts to optimize your luteal phase, that period may actually come. Yes, you can, but when it comes to supplements, you always want to check with your doctor when in doubt. If you're using, prenatal, you should be, women, if you're breastfeeding, you really should be on a prenatal. That's not going to be an issue. In terms of, and then just in terms of your baby's age, your baby's health, your health, you want to talk to your doctor about, like, before you jump into supplements. But the food, totally fine. In fact, it can actually help breast milk production. Okay. You're finding a new doctor because your doctor keeps pushing birth control. You have long cycles, 34 to 46 days. So those are irregular. 34 to 46 days is an irregular cycle. So you want to get into chapter 4 of Beyond the Pill and read about irregular cycles on that. With the seed cycling, should I flip on day 14 to promote shorter cycles? With the seed cycling, we want to flip on ovulation, like when you ovulate. So if you are a woman with like PCOS, for example, you might have 38-day cycles. Day 14 might not be when you ovulate. You might actually be ovulating more like day 18, day 20. And if that's when you ovulate, then that's the rhythm you follow. And you flip the cycle, you flip the you flip the seeds then. And as I talk about my period problem solution kit, the period problem solution program is what I meant to say with that, is that when you get to, it depends on what you're trying to do with the period. So if you're like, I want to be regularly 35 days, then at 35, you would flip the seeds again. And it gets a little bit tricky. That's why I go into that in the program a little more in depth, because it can get tricky in terms of like, and then your period comes, and then what I do, that there is a way to use seed cycling to help to regulate the cycle so that it's more regular. But you definitely want to read chapter 4. Oh, you read it and you're waiting on the lab results right now. That is awesome. You got the book yesterday. Going to try to apply. This is Joshua Tree Collective. You're 59. Am I crazy? Haven't found this kind of information for menopause. You are not crazy. So first things first, if you ever ask the question, am I crazy? The answer is probably gonna be no, you're not crazy. So there are women that have been writing me that are in their 60s and 70s. Like, you guys, this seriously, it got me. I had this woman who was 68 who just recently wrote me this week and said, my entire life, I thought I was crazy. I thought there was something wrong with me. Like, my doctors made me feel like I was just a wreck and no one else had these problems. And as it turns out, I read your book and I was right all along. And I did know my body, and this felt so validating. And then she's like, and I felt so amazing when I started like following the dietary protocols. I'm like, that's amazing. The other thing is that when I talk about excess estrogen, Just because you're 59 doesn't mean you're not getting exposed to environmental toxins that are xenoestrogens that can grab onto the receptors and stimulate the same way as estrogen does. That's why, like, balance, I'm like, this baby is with me for life because it helps with processing what we get exposed to in our environment as well. Um, so you can use this book at any age, just like if you're not menstruating anymore because you're 59 and that's natural, then you're not going to be necessarily following like, the protocols that are like, when you're on your period, do this. But do go to drbrighten.com. And there is a seed cycling article for perimenopause, postmenopause, and that will talk you through like how to do seed cycling for you. Is there any negative side effects to getting tubes tied? We talked about that, I believe it was yesterday. It was either chapter 11 or 10, where we went into a bit of that, and I actually answered that question. So go listen to that. All of these Beyond the Pill chapters that we've been going through, they all live on YouTube. So all these videos are on YouTube. If you don't subscribe to my YouTube, please do that now, because then you know when I go live, and you also know when new videos are coming up, and we're working on several right now. Joshua Tree Collective, you are so welcome. And please, 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 if you haven't gone to the beyondthepillbook.com, go get those bonuses and grab those for sure. And for those of you who are saying, you guys' comments are so sweet. Thank you for all of this. I would love it if you shared these same comments, and you could just copy and paste and put it as an Amazon review of what you thought of the book. So many women, I mean, you guys have been increasing the reviews coming through and the number of messages we get from women saying how much that's helped. I mean, I'm like, go tell everybody else that helps, because you're emailing us, and like, you guys need to know it is helping other women. And that is one thing you can do to support other women. I think it's amazing just to see the response in all of this. You're 42, your doctor did blood test. She said, I'm in perimenopause. She said I needed the pill. Oh, hell no. I don't want this, but my hormones are crazy off. Of course they're crazy off, girl. Of course. Like, oh my God, stop it, doctors, with giving perimenopausal women the pill. No, shut it down. Okay, we got to take a minute here because, yeah, I'm going to take a breath. Okay, so here's the deal. You need to go read the Reversing Metabolic Mayhem chapter, because after age 35, our risk of these big scary things like stroke, heart attack, cancer, diabetes, they're increasing. And the pill can push you over the edge on all of that. The pill is inflammatory. It does not support the female brain. Those hormones do not support the female brain the way that your natural hormones do. And so we're also talking about, I get really upset about this, because right now, you guys, I have like chills right now, because right now, 66%, approximately 66% of Alzheimer's patients are women. And this is something that I'm like, yo, why is nobody questioning, did these women use hormonal birth control? Because it alters the female brain. It structurally alters the brain. Plus, that yummy progesterone that you have and awesome estrogen in your brain supports neuroplasticity. That is the actual differentiation of cells to build new neuronal pathways. What does that mean? Super thinking highways in your brain. I talked all about this on the Broken Brain documentary, because it is so, so important that women have their natural hormones. For example, when you have a head injury, you know what helps? Progesterone. And where you're at in your menstrual cycle can actually give a clue and a sign of like what is going to happen to you in a month. Are you going to recover? Like, this is something we're not questioning enough. It's like, what is the long-term impact on women's health? Like, women who are out of their fertile years now who have taken hormonal birth control. Additionally, there was a study, and I talk about it in Beyond the Pill. If you spent 6 months or longer on hormonal birth control and you enter into menopause, you are 35% more likely to develop diabetes. Diabetes. That is no joke, right? I mean, then you can't even get those hormones in. No, hormone replacement therapy, talking about bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, is not the same as synthetic estrogen and progestin found in hormonal birth control. Okay, so that's where I was going with that. Joshua Tree, thanks for asking that question. So with that, if you are having hormone imbalance due to your ovaries quitting, they're going to quit, you guys. Every one of us, our ovaries are going to quit, and they're going to stop ovulating. And when they stop ovulating, you won't get progesterone. Now you're category A, you're bumping all that estrogen, and you're feeling like a crazy person in your body. Hot flashes, night sweats, you're irritable, you're puffy, you're swollen, you're having all of these issues. And it's really about progesterone. needing to bring progesterone on. We may also need DHEA, which is an anti-aging hormone that you learn about in chapter 2 of the book, and you decline DHEA starting at age 25. It's anti-aging hormone. That DHEA can be used, as I talk about in the libido chapter. This is something that you can use on your vagina, like actually inserting it in there and on your labia, and that can actually strengthen the pelvic floor, preventing urinary incontinence in the future, which is a big deal for women. It's a big reason why we end up in nursing homes. So that's no joke, you guys. So with that, I just want you to understand, passing hormonal birth control to manage perimenopausal symptoms is a hell of a short-sighted approach to a complex system that is women's hormones. So it's short-sighted, and in addition, it can be putting you at risk for all kinds of bad things. And we don't want to see anything bad happen to one more sister on this planet. So no. Go find a doctor who focuses and specializes in bioidentical hormone replacement therapy if you do feel like you need hormones. But what you need to do in perimenopause, you guys, and why the book can help you if you're in perimenopause or postmenopause, is that even if your ovaries quit, you still have a gut, you still have a liver, you still have environmental toxins coming on board, you still have a libido, you still have a thyroid, you still have an adrenal, and you still have to support every one of those systems to optimize your health. So it doesn't matter where you're at. If you just started your period or you just lost your period, over the last year, Beyond the Pill can help you because it has the foundational stuff that is the secret sauce to keeping hormones happy throughout our entire lifetime. When it comes to the more nuanced talk of like, what do we consider with bioidentical hormone replacement therapy for postmenopausal women? We don't go there in this book because this book is really focused on teaching you all about your body and your hormones. But it's also focused on like women who are subjected to, here's the pill for every female ill, and not being taught about their body. Everybody to like 10 years from now be on the new social media platform, because I'm sure there'll be a new one, still posting about how Beyond the Pill is helping them. I wrote it so that it's with you for life, which apparently is like, I got the memo where people are like, no, you're supposed to write books that people like, it gives them so much, and then they need another book. They need your next book. And I'm like, I don't play like that. I don't play like that. Like I'm going to give you everything you need so that you can do the best you can right now. Because you and me, we ain't got time to wait, like to feel better with our hormones, right? So by regulating your hormones, will that allow me to go off of my depression, anxiety medication? So if that is the root cause, then yes, but it could also be the root causes in your gut, and it could be multifactorial. Now, before we ever stop, so hormonal birth control, you can choose to stop it at any time. Depression, anxiety medications needs a doctor that can help you actually bring yourself off of that. So to get off antidepressants is a very slow process. And so you first want to articulate your desire with your prescribing physician and ask them if they can help you come off of it. And then you probably want to partner with a naturopathic doctor or a functional medicine physician so that you can make that transition as successful as possible. We don't want to just jump. There are some drugs you don't want to just stop because the fallout can be so much worse. But I definitely, Jessica, want you to read the Take Charge of Your Mood Swings, Anxiety, Depression chapter of my book. You're going to learn a whole lot. Will my book be available in German? Can you start requesting that it's available in German? Because then we can make that happen. So right now, the book, we are in talks of doing translations in other languages. Germany is not on the table. German language is not on the table right now, but I would be so honored to be able to get this book into women's hands. So please ask your bookstore, start asking around. The more interest there is, the more likely we are to see that the book gets translated to other languages. Catherine, you are so sweet. Catherine said, so amazing, kind, and generous. That is so sweet. All right. So what if your DHEA is high? What does that mean? I want you to go read the Re-Energize Your Thyroid and Adrenal chapter. And that I talk about DHEA and elevation of DHEA. That can often be a protective mechanism for cortisol being elevated. And you'll learn all about that. Thank you for your work. I am too sharing your amazing book with my family, friends, and colleagues. Thank you guys. Keep sharing this message everywhere. Please, if you can, post an Amazon review, you can tag a friend in one of these videos, tag a friend on my Instagram page, or share the YouTube link with them. That is something that it is such an easy thing that we can do. to support other women. And if you're on my newsletter list, I am drbrighten.com/newsletter. I send out usually like 2 to 3 times a week. I send out a newsletter with helpful information, letting you know about new projects going on, things you can get in on, answering your guys' questions there. And so that's something else too. If you're on my newsletter, you can always forward that to a friend. So there's lots of ways to start spreading and sharing this information so everybody can get access to the information they need. Will the book be in French? I want it to be in French. I just spent 3 months living in Paris and I'm like, can we make this happen? Or Farsi? I don't even know how to make that happen. So if anybody knows how to make it happen to get books translated, it has to happen with my publishers because they technically own the book. I wrote the book. And they are the ones that handle like getting it all over the world. And it's been amazing. Like we have seen Beyond the Pill in Japan, in China, the Philippines. We've seen it in South Africa, Canada, of course, Canada and in the US and Mexico. We're all like kind of close together, right? We've seen it in Colombia. We have seen it in countries, you guys, that I had to go look up because I was like, I don't even know where that is in the world. And that's embarrassing. But I actually put up a world map in my son's room. And then now when people post, I like go and I look and I'm like, oh, look, that's where it's at in the world. And my son and I talk about it. We should do a little map of like everywhere it's shown up in the world. Your husband was telling you about birth control being flushed in toilets and getting in our bodies. I know, right? That's something we talked about in one of our videos of like, there's this individual choice that we're making. We have the right to make that choice, but there's also this global impact happening. And like, that's some stuff we've got to talk about. Yeah, it is in the UK. I've seen it in the UK. I'm going to be coming to the UK. It looks like I'm going to be doing a keynote in Cyprus in January of next year. And yeah, so I definitely have travel plans to go international. I have to work on getting a visa though, apparently, because I stayed in Paris for 3 months and now I can go to the UK, but there's other places I can't go. How strict do I need to be on this program? Obviously, I will do my best to follow it as closely as possible. But if I have a few days off of eating, will I totally mess up? If so, you guys, that's a great question. I just want to say, Lauren, thank you for this question. So if you're doing the Brighton program and there's a day where things don't go your way, just start again tomorrow. And it doesn't mean you have to start over from day one, but know that like, you know, in the 14 days of doing the liver detox, the 14 days are compounded. So every single day in that beginning is one step closer to feeling better. So if you do end up having like a hiccup kind of day, that is like, you're not going to get as much benefit from it, but I wouldn't stress it because life happens. And so you just do the best you can. And I wouldn't like, if I was like on, you know, day 10 and I'm like, whoops, I had a mess up day, I wouldn't necessarily go all the way back and be like, oh, start over again in terms of like the detox stuff. Now the food sensitivity information is a different story. So let's just use gluten as an example. If you eat gluten anytime in the 30 days, you do have to start that over because you can't test it. It won't be true because of the half-life of antibodies. If it's dairy, 6 weeks. We've got to do 6 weeks because of the antibodies. We've got to get the immune system calmed down so that we can retest, reintroduce, and see what happens. So with the food sensitivities, that's the caveat to that. You won't have accurate data and you won't know for sure how is this food interacting with you. However, I wouldn't get super stressed out. Start over on the food sensitivity piece of what you're testing to be true for you. But in terms of like everything else, like if you have a mess up day, you guys, I want you to, instead of being like, I messed everything up, I want you to reflect on how many days you got everything right and go through and say, wow, yeah, today messed up, but for like, you know, the last like 8 days, I have made sure to have cruciferous vegetables every single day. Go me. I have drank this much water. I have slept this many hours every single night. So, you know, we as women are really quick to be like, I messed up. I'm the worst. Hate on myself. And don't do that. That's actually inflammatory. So instead, if you mess up, forgive yourself. Say, what can I learn from this? What is my lesson? Sometimes women 10 days off of gluten, they reintroduce and they feel terrible. So you may actually get some data with that. That is a possibility. But, you know, instead of judging yourself harshly, instead congratulate yourself on everything that you have done well. Yay, go me. And then start again. Whenever we mess up, we do something wrong, it's a learning opportunity. So like, instead of judging yourself, which is only going to like steal your energy, focus on what did I do really, really well? So you can't eat flax seeds. Is there any substitution for seed cycling? Yeah, do the pumpkin seeds instead. So that's why I said, like, we don't have to be super strict and dogmatic about the seed cycling. And that's a big reason, is because I've worked with a lot of autoimmune patients who can't do flax seeds or pumpkin seeds or sesame seeds. And, they have a hard time with this. So you can do just the pumpkin seeds. Raw pumpkin seeds will work well for that. And then make sure that you're getting ample fiber, because that's part of what the flax seeds, will help with, is they help with fiber as well. So I want to say thank you all for being here. I actually am going to hop off. I've got to go have a meeting with Dr. Carrie Jones, the medical director of Dutch. So stay tuned to my Instagram stories, because I'm sure we'll be on there with that. With Beyond the Pill, I want to say thank you for supporting this book and making it as successful as it is. Tomorrow, we are going into alternative birth control methods. Yes, I will be here with you on the weekend. We're going to kick it on a Saturday morning. We're going to talk about what we can do to prevent baby making beyond hormonal birth control. And I'm excited for that conversation. So be sure to bring your questions for that. If you haven't already shared this with somebody, share it with somebody out there. You can share the YouTube video. You can share on Instagram. Or you can just share Beyond the Pill. And of course, if you've gotten Beyond the Pill, go to beyondthepillbook.com, grab your free bonuses there. And if you would consider leaving me a review on Amazon so I can see what you think of the book. Like Jessica says, the book is a life changer. That is so awesome. So with all of that, if you can please share that same information on Amazon in an Amazon review, so that other women can understand what's in the book, how does it actually help, and is it worth their investment? Yeah, I will see you guys all on a Saturday morning. You guys are awesome. Thank you for all the hearts, and I can't wait to see you then.